Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today, we have a video that I'm pretty excited about. Today's video topic is 5 knives that make me happy. I was tagged in this by my buddy, Sharpened Blade. Go check him out on YouTube and Instagram. Great guy, great reviewer. You should definitely check him out. But he tagged me in this video. I believe this whole thing was started by Pete over at Cedric and Ada, the Cedric and Ada channel. What is it? Cedric and Ada Outdoors? Gosh, I feel terrible. I watch him all the time. I can't remember the whole name of his channel. Anyways, he started this, and I think it's a really, really interesting topic. Excuse my finger. This was done just a few days ago by this knife here. This SOB. I'm just kidding. I still love you, 301. But, yeah, if you want the full story, I'll tell it in the review of that knife when I do the review. Or you can go check out my Instagram if you haven't already. But, enough about that. Just accept that this is going to be a thing throughout this video. So, knives that make me happy. This was a very difficult topic to wrap my head around. And I thought about it a lot. And I kind of went in circles a lot. Dreamed about this topic, I'm pretty sure. And for me, it came down to separating what are knives that I really, really like and what are knives that actually make me really happy. And so I kind of had to separate out, what do I love using, what do I carry most, and focus more on what, if I see it just fills me with joy, or what do I go out of my way to hold or handle or play with, whatever. And so I came up with, I think, a pretty good list. So let's get right into it. And right off the bat, I'm cheating a little bit. So the number 5 knife that makes me happy is actually knives that make me happy. So, as you can see, these are both Elk Ridge knives. We will get this one out. So if any of you have never heard of Elk Ridge before, I'm not surprised. They are kind of a smaller brand, I guess I'll say. But anyways, these two fixed blades, why do they make me so happy? We'll start with this one. So this little Elk Ridge knife, this came from my dad. And this knife is kind of what started my obsession with Bowie knives. You guys know I love clip points, especially Bowies, and this knife was kind of the genesis of that. My dad gave this to me for Christmas. I think I was 14 years old, and I just fell in love. Coffin handle Bowie knife, wooden, scales, nice decorations. You can definitely tell I carried this a lot. It does have marks. 440 stainless steel, nothing fancy. Kind of an odd sharpening. Actually, I think that was from me sharpening that gave it that smile. But, yeah, I really do love this knife. It does make me happy. And I know, it's not the highest of quality, but it's still a good knife. It really is. And, I mean, for me, it just, I like it a whole lot for what it represents to me. This was really my first real fixed blade knife. Up until then, I really just carried folders or fixed blades that I myself had made. And so my dad got me this for one Christmas, and it meant a lot. And I like this knife a whole lot. I think this is probably, I think if I remember right, this was a $30 knife. $25. So, yeah, simple little sheath, but, functional. I did carry this knife all over the place, going on hikes in the mountains, carried this on cattle drives, hunting, all kinds of stuff. So, the other Elk Ridge knife, you can see this one is quite a bit different. Nicer sheath, thick leather sheath. So this knife here is special to me because, or it makes me happy see if I can get this whole thing on here. Yeah, mostly. Because this reminds me of my childhood. So, I've talked a little bit about this before, but when I was a teenager, my best friend was my cousin Austin. He's been on the channel a few times. Great guy. And we both loved knives. And we talk about knives, and we were always buying knives, and we were trying to one-up each other in our knife collecting. And one summer, he bought this knife. And I was so jealous. I was so jealous. It was the most beautiful knife any of us owned. The sheath was really cool. The handle scales, were just really, really cool to us. And of course, it's just this big old spatula of a knife. And he bought his, and he was showing it off and bragging about it. And, of course, I'm getting green with envy. And I went to buy one, and I couldn't find it. I just couldn't find it. And, eventually moved on. Didn't really think about whatever. Well, about a year ago, I saw it in a store. And I bought it. Because why not? I thought. Why not? I'll just, I always wanted one as a kid. Now I have one. And there it is. And so, yeah, looking at this knife, I'll take this out of the box all the time. And I'll look at it. And I'll hold it. I've taken it camping with me a few times. But it just makes me happy. It brings back memories of kind of what really got me into knives. And, reminds me of Austin. We live far apart now. Don't get to hang out as much as we would like to. But, it reminds me of a simpler time for me. So, yeah, that's the Elk Ridge something or another. This one doesn't even have a steel marking. So, cool knife. Alrighty, next up, I'm going to cheat again. Yes, it's another twofer. And these, as you can tell, this is 2 case knives. So we're going to start with this one. Man, having a bum finger sucks. So, this is the Case Knives Patriotic Stockman. This animal material, what do they call it? It starts with a K. Kieranite? I don't think that's right, but someone who's a big case person will tell you in the description or in the comments. I just can't remember what it's called right now. But anyways, this knife is really special to me for a few reasons. Really, really cool knife. A classic design. Stockman. I like the Stockman design. So, before I was real big in the knife hobby, again, when I was a teenager, I thought case knives were just the pinnacle of quality and artistic expression. And I had a few, Knives Illustrated and Blade magazines, so I knew about custom designers, but I thought, case knives were just where it's at. And I always wanted one. So, one day, my dad, he's a mobile veterinarian, large animals, so he drives all over the place. So he comes home one day, and he walks in, and he has 2 of these boxes. I'm like, oh, cool, Dad, what's that? He said, well, you want to come see? So we sit down, he opens it up, and he says, here it is, it's 2 of these. And I'm like, whoa, where'd you find that? He said, well, I was at the hardware store, and they had these on discount. So I go, really? He's like, yeah, so I grabbed one up. He said, so I'm going to keep this one for myself, and this other one I'm going to give to your grandpa for Christmas. And I remember being kind of like, oh, I kind of wanted one. I didn't say that. But then in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, but if he's giving grandpa one for Christmas, he'll probably give you one for Christmas too. And so my grandpa, my dad, and I, my paternal grandfather, we all have the same initials, GB K. Different first names, but same middle name and obviously last name. And so, that's kind of a family tradition. It means a lot to me. I'm the third in the lineage, and it's special. It kind of connects me and my grandfather and my dad. And so Christmas time comes along, and Dad gives Grandpa his, and Grandpa likes it, and I think it's so cool. And we celebrate Christmas with my grandparents on Christmas Eve, and then my siblings and parents and we would all celebrate Christmas at our house on Christmas Day. So Christmas Day rolls around, I'm opening all my presents, so excited, and there's no Stockman. And I'm kind of disappointed, but I'm like, well, you know what, maybe there's only 2 of them. I'm like, oh, well. Well, my birthday is exactly 2 weeks after Christmas. And on my birthday, my dad said, hey, look at this. And he gave me, he had indeed picked up a third one, and this was it. And at that point, this was the most expensive knife I owned. I think this was like a $45, $50 knife. And I thought it was amazing. It's beautiful. I do still think it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. Feels quality. I love case knives. And yeah, it was really special. So it reminds me of my dad and my grandpa and me. So, I'm not going to bother with the case right now. The case for the case. This one. So I said how I like the Stockman pattern for traditional knives. My favorite pattern, however, is the Trapper. And I always wanted a Trapper knife as a kid. Always. I love the clip point blade plus the spade blade. Yes, mine has quite a bit of corrosion on it right now. I should probably clean that up one day. But I just loved Trapper knives. And always wanted one. Never got one. I had a case knife magazine that I picked out of the garbage somewhere as a kid. And I went through and I'd circle all the Trapper knives. I just loved Trapper knives. Loved them. So this knife was given to me when I graduated high school by my great aunt Kate. And my great aunt Kate was quite the woman. She was a real pioneer. She lived to be almost 100. She died about a year ago. And, this knife kind of reminds me of her. And it kind of reminds me of what my ancestors went through. This is a very traditional knife. This is pretty similar to a lot of the knives that a lot of my great-grandparents came across the plains with. And, my great-aunt Kate, like I said, she was a real pioneer. She, without getting too much into details, she did come out here. She's one of the first settlers in this area, one of the first people to kind of come out here, her family. And, she went through a lot of hardship, but, she was a fighter. And so, yeah, this knife is kind of special to me and kind of just a symbol of where I came from and, a reminder of a really, really awesome lady. So, it's the case yellow synthetic Trapper. Really, really like this knife. Okay, I promise I'm done cheating now. I promise. Those were the last cheaters. Okay, so now we're going to get into my shallow happy knife. So this is the knife that really doesn't have too much emotional connection. I just like this knife because of the knifiness of it. And that is the Wee Knives Mine Axe. And this knife does make me very happy. This is the most expensive knife I own right now. And, $263. I know a lot of you guys have knives that are way, way more expensive than that, but I'm just not in the position where I can do that. But I remember buying this knife. I sold a bunch of knives. I saved up, and I bought this knife. And I still remember ordering it and feeling like, oh, no, what did I do? And it's like, oh, this knife better be worth it. And it came, and it was. It is. It's a great knife, and it's very hard for me not to carry this knife all the time. Um, I love this knife. The ergos are so good. The design just looks awesome. The action is great. Flipper tab or reverse flicking. Great, great knife. Very slicey blade. Just very aggressive. Nice milling on the titanium. Nice backspace. The clip works good. I like this knife a lot. You know, my girlfriend and I, we took a road trip, and as you know, part of our road trip, we stopped at Arches, and we went a bunch of different places. And before we were leaving for that road trip, I was thinking, what knife am I going to bring with me? And I was kind of looking through my collection, and I think I took 4 knives with me, 4 or 5 knives with me on that trip because, you know, we're knife people. And it was like the Best Tech Lion, anyways, stuff like that. But I actually ended up carrying this pretty much the entire trip, you know? And it's just, you know, I couldn't, I saw it there when I was trying to decide what to pack up, and I couldn't not take it. It's just so good. I love this knife. Every time I see it, I want to just pick it up and play with it. I want to put it in my pocket. I want to take it somewhere. Great knife. I do use it, and it's a good knife. It's a really, really good knife. Love the looks, the action, the build quality, the aesthetics. Just, yeah, the functionality is great. Love this knife. I have not reviewed this knife, but that is definitely coming. Don't worry. So there's my shallow. Shallow. I'm doing air quotes. You can't tell, but yeah. That's my shallow knife carry. So speaking of my girlfriend, who I mentioned there, taking a road trip, my next special knife, the next knife that makes me happy, is this Civivi Fracture. The Civivi Fracture itself doesn't really make me happy. I mean, it's a good knife, you know, it's a modern traditional. It's a one-hand opening slip joint, which is a little bit weird. It's built well and stuff. But what makes it special, really, is this. That number there. And this here. We'll talk about that here in a sec. That number there, that's my anniversary. That's the day my girlfriend and I got together. We know each other for a long time. We've been friends since high school. And she did not give me this knife. Just to be clear, I got myself this knife, and I got that engraving done on it. But it's still special to me because, you know, this knife does kind of signify. I got this when we hit 2 years or a year. I think it was 2 years. Yeah, I can't remember when this knife came out. But I got to kind of signify that, you know, I got her a gift and I got myself a gift for our anniversary. And then this. So people ask me sometimes, you know, geez, why do you wear so many bracelets? You know, don't you work in the woods and around machinery and chainsaws, and you're always doing stuff like that? Isn't that a hazard? Well, I don't know. It hasn't been so far. But I wear so many bracelets because my girlfriend gives them to me. And she likes making bracelets. You know, she'll get me other bracelets. And so, you know, you know how you are with your significant other. And they mean a lot to me. And so this is one that used to be on my wrist, but, you know, it broke and fell off. So I added it to this knife as a lanyard. I need to get her to make some just lanyards for some of my knives. I added it to this knife. And I added it just not too long ago. My girlfriend is an athlete. And recently she decided that she wanted to pursue her athletic career. And she actually went to the East Coast to play for a college over there. Not going to be naming names or anything. And, you know, I'm still here in New Mexico. I have my job, school, working on my career here, so I couldn't, you know, go with her. But, you know, I think it was the day after she flew off. I took her down there to fly out, and the day after she She left. I think I tied this on here. And it took this knife that was already special and just made it that much more special. And every time I see this knife, I've actually been carrying it a lot because it just makes me happy. It makes me happy that I have such an amazing girl in my life. And, you know, she's off doing great things and I'm here attempting to do great things. We'll see what happens. And I'm just really proud of her and I love her. And yeah, this knife does make me really, really happy. So, yeah. All right. The last knife that fills me with joy. Can you guys guess what it is? If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you probably can. Recognize that sound? Yep. It's a Cold Steel 8015. And this one is the one that I dyed blue. I love this knife, guys. In fact, I'm crazy about it. Yeah, I know. I'm off my rocker. I've completely lost my mind. But yeah. The Cold Steel 8015. There's just so much about this knife that just is so good for me. The ergos are amazing. I love Andrew Dimko's designs. Love the Scorpion lock. You know, it's fidgety but strong. Man, just love this the Scorpion lock. This knife just makes me happy because this was the first. You know, look how much of a hypocrite I am. I bought all these knives. Actually, this one I traded for. And I was, upset about spending $260 on that knife. But yes. I love this knife. It was the first knife I got that was over $200. And again, it was one of those things where I thought I had just made a huge mistake. And I started taking it to work. And as a lot of you guys know, I work out in the woods during the summers. I'm a cowboy, fence runner, part-time logger. And this knife has just seen me through so much. I have beat the heck out of every single 8015 I've owned. And they've just always been there. They've always bounced back. And they're just solid knives. And I appreciate them both as a knife and also as kind of a symbol to me of what I enjoy in a knife. I love the looks of this knife. I do love a drop point blade. And this is a very beautiful drop point blade. I love unique locks. I like knives that are different, And this is definitely a knife that's different. And I also love a knife that I can use hard. And this knife really did open up a whole new world of knives for me. A whole new world. Yeah, it was pretty much my first Grail knife. And to this day, it is still probably my favorite knife. And I hesitate to say that because part of me is like, oh, well, if that's your favorite knife, why do you still look at other knives? Why do you still purchase other knives? It's because I do like knives, but this is my favorite knife. And it just makes me so happy. I love this knife. And you guys will know from if you watch the review and testing of the 8015 Lite, I had so much fun pointing this knife through its paces. Because honestly, when I was getting into the 8015 for real, I didn't have my YouTube channel. And so this was kind of my way to... The 8015 Lite came out, and that was my way to mix my YouTube channel with all of the joy I had for reviewing knives and all the love I had for this model. So this knife does make me happy all the time. Love this knife. So, whoops. Now, I'm going to tag some other YouTubers in this. And yeah, I think most people are tagging 5. I'm only going to tag 3 other YouTubers. And I'll get in here, you. So 3 YouTubers I'm going to tag are, first off, 1 Minute Knife Review. Good buddy of mine. And if you're watching this, I want to see what your 5 happy knives are. All right? What 5 knives give you that rush? And the other 2 channels I'm going to tag, I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to tag Jay over at the Knife Beater. I don't know if he's been tagged yet, but I would really love to see what his 5 happy knives are. And I also want to tag This Old Sword blade reviews. Because, yeah, again, I'm just really curious to see what your 5 favorites are. And I doubt Jay or This Old Sword are watching this video. So I'll reach out to them and let them know that I tagged them. But you guys also, go ahead and go let them know that they've been tagged in this. And maybe they'll make a video. But again, thank you to Sharpened Blade for tagging me in this. This was really fun. And thank you to Pete over at Cedric and Ada for starting this whole thing. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is all I've got for now. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.